Well, we're here with the Zieglers. You guys saw them actually dedicate Ella here in the service, and I just wanted to take some time and unpack your guys' stories and hear more about what God's brought you through.
It was 5 years ago, I believe it's been 5 years at least, where we just felt like our family was ready to grow, and we discussed the different options and stuff, obviously, and adoption just kept being put in front of us everywhere we went. So we put our faith out there and went towards India. And so I had wanted to pray over the children on the list, because in India you can look at the children, the special needs children that are on a list ready for adoption. So I wanted to pray over the children. We had already decided we wouldn't choose which child. We wanted the Lord to choose which child for us. So I was looking at the list and praying over them, and a picture popped up of a little girl, and I showed him. They were a Christian-based agency, so they called to pray with us every couple weeks, or whenever we were feeling low, we would call them. She's like, I need to warn you. She's not. They never said cerebral palsy, but they said she's not walking, which they said all these things. So we don't want to present her to you if that's something more. So of course we were like, at this point, the Lord's already keeps showing us which way we need to go. We got our visas and planned a trip in 72 hours.
Yeah.
COVID tests, visas, where our other children were going to be, what was going to happen, how we were going to go to India with a known time frame of returning. So then we went to her orphanage, and legally we are allowed to take custody after NOC, which is a no objection certificate, meaning they have no objections to us adopting her. But they refused to give her to us. So it was very discouraging, and I prayed, and I broke down crying and I just prayed. So 2 days later, they agreed to meet with us. And so we drove back down there again, and I'm not sure how or why, other than my praying, the director was all of a sudden on board. And we went to court, and that was a whole other experience. They're not real fond of women there. So they would only address him. The judge said leave. So we left, and it was so nerve-wracking. And again, just keep praying. God knows what he's doing. We were waiting on court orders.
We found out he approved it from our advocate after the verbal orders, not written orders. He just gave the okay verbally, which doesn't really mean much.
Doesn't do anything.
Until there's a written certified court order, then you can't go back on it. So we waited for 3 weeks, I think it was, for the written court orders.
So then it comes time for our passport appointment, and the director of her orphanage has to meet you there. He refused. He said he couldn't make it because it was too far of a drive. He had every excuse. Then he had a fever, so he might have COVID. He finally comes to the passport appointment, and it goes well. And so passports are not issued. It takes 3 to 5 days to get your passport after your appointment. At this point, I had about as much as I could have. It had been like 6 or 7 weeks since we'd been in India, and I really was praying to this. I need something to happen.
Somehow, some way. Obviously, it was a God thing. That's why it happened. We made history. We got the passport the same day.
They called us into their office. Well, so he comes out and he goes, they want to see you, and the main guy wants to see you in his office. And our translator, the pastor, was nervous. He's like, oh gosh, like this isn't happening. So we're all nervous, and we go in there. He's like, no, don't speak. Just stand there. Let me speak. We're like, okay. He stands next to him and talks to her. And he says, this has never happened. We've never done this in the history of ever. But I'm going to give you your passport today. Something tells me you guys are ready to go. And I was like, well, I know who told you that. Thank you. Because I was ready to go.
So the medical appointment was first.
So we get to the medical appointment, and they had not received. They're supposed to receive an email from the U.S. Embassy confirming appointment before they can see you.
And I happened to be standing with her in front of that doctor that was supposed to see her.
We didn't know at the time.
We didn't know at the time. And he came out and pointed at her or something. And that's when it came that the doctor will see you. And he just looked at her. Didn't do anything. Just said cerebral palsy and said, see you later.
He didn't check her, nothing. He just said she has cerebral palsy and you're good to go. Like, goodbye. We were like, okay. And so then we go to the U.S. Embassy appointment. And the nicest woman ever behind the window. There's only certain flights at times that they leave India and where they go and when they come back. So we opened it and we said, there's a flight leaving tonight at 7:30. And she says, no, there can't be. The flights to the U.S. from here leave at 3:30 in the morning. We're like, no, it's leaving at 7:30 p.m. tonight. She's like, no, I've never seen that before. And she's like, hold on, like whatever. So she looks and she goes, there is, and you're gonna catch that flight. Like I said, the whole thing, it took 5 years for us to get to her, but we knew when we saw her, there was just so much that happened that just couldn't have happened without the Lord.
The whole thing, God had his hand on and knew exactly where we started and where we were going to finish. We didn't know it, but...
No, there were times we were like, are you sure? Because, he lost his job, COVID happened, the whole mill shut down.
It's God things, and I landed another job, and they were
so...
I had only worked there for 3 months, and I said, hey, I got to go to India.
For who knows how long.
Sorry. And they were cool. I updated our HR guy every week with an update, and I got back. It was just the whole process. And then that job has the best health insurance that we've ever. Everything and anything she needs, which is a lot. There's a lot of equipment. There's a lot of appointments. An appointment every day, a lot. It has covered all of it without. It's just everything. So how can you not be a believer when the stuff we've gone through in the last 5 years to get to this point with her? And just all the chips just fell, right in her